I'm excited to be with a friend and a great guest this week, Janet Tanguay. Janet's got a great story about entrepreneurs, and she's even an entrepreneur herself. So let's tell everybody, I mean, you've got a lot going on. You work with the chamber, but you have the Entrepreneur Boot Camp, right? I said that right.
Main priority, right?
Yeah, the main priority. But then you're also an entrepreneur yourself. You have Art and Soul, and there's no telling what else you have going on. I mean, you're constantly into things, but when I hear the word entrepreneur, I automatically think of you, which is interesting. You've kind of been branded that way.
Yeah, I think what happens when you're an entrepreneur is that you become a serial entrepreneur. You're always looking for ways to make money, and since lemonade stands when I was a kid, I've been an entrepreneur.
You really
so
I
had a lemonade stand, and I also had, my dad was a farmer, and so we had vegetable stands as well, and so sort of learned the entrepreneurial spirit from a young age, and took it away from there. So
right now with the Entrepreneur Boot Camp, you've been doing that for a number of years, and how's that course set up? I mean, it runs, how often does that work and everything? I know I've been there and I've spoke to a few classes, but what is the setup?
Sure. We run a class in the spring and the fall, and it's a 10-week course over about 60 hours, and we have panels of people that come in. So we have panels of attorneys, accountants, branding experts, which is kind of where you came in, insurance, pretty much anything you need to know to start a business. So.
Yeah, so and I think it's really awesome that you do that. I mean, because I definitely consider you to be a giver, and the reason that, and what I mean by a giver is I know we've had different events, and it's like all of these people, and it's like you're a giver, a connector, that you're always connecting and giving and that type of stuff. But with the entrepreneur programs, tell me about the entrepreneurs that are coming into the program. Do they have ideas, or do they already have businesses? What exactly is
Some of them have businesses, but most of them are coming in with an idea. I love what I do because I basically help people follow their dreams, and so they come in with this great idea and sometimes lack focus. So really what we help them do is to write a business plan and focus either one idea or many ideas into something tangible. And so right now we have a lot of people either with doctorates or graduate degrees. I have 3 engineers coming into this current class who are developing apps, and a doctor of psychology registered today, and so that's interesting. He wants to start a clinic and has been doing private practice, so sort of to grow his current practice.
So you've been doing this for how many years now?
11.
11 years, and to kind of think about that, have you seen anything that was like, there's something changing here in the last 11 years, or has it just been consistent through the 11 years?
No, I think that the two ends of the spectrum are that college students coming out of college sometimes have a hard time finding jobs, and they really want to be their own bosses. So they're coming out and they have ideas, and they're starting their own businesses instead of finding employment. And then the other aspect of it is people that have been in business for a lot of years and are retiring early, usually taking an early retirement package. A lot of state workers do that, and then they're not ready to go somewhere and lay on a beach, so they have an idea that they've always dreamt about and are starting businesses. So those are sort of the two trends that I'm seeing quite a bit the last few years.
So do you think the entrepreneurial spirit is growing, though, what you've seen over the 11 years? Do you think more and more people want to be entrepreneurs? It's going to more or less, I want to be my own boss?
Absolutely. But what people find out quickly is that even though you're your own boss, your clients are your boss.
Yes.
So you're not really, you might be able to make your own schedule, maybe, but your clients, right? Your clients really become...
You're on vacation, you're taking the call. Well,
right,
I know that all too well.
Yeah,
that you
it's
don't
24/7.
have a vacation.
Yeah, exactly. So you're really, you're enmeshed in it, and so it's not for everyone. So, and that's what we find out as well. I always give this stat. The nationwide stat is still 90% of businesses fail and 10% survive, and we've been able to get that number up at the chamber to 57% survival rate. So, and we continue to grow that number. So
you're saying the individuals that come into your program, 57% make it?
Are still in business, right?
Wow.
That's a good number.
That is a good number, yeah, because I just remember when we started up, it was it was nerve-wracking.
Right.
From one day to the next. It wasn't 1 month, it was one day.
Right, and the key I think is adaptability. So if entrepreneurs aren't willing to be flexible, then they go under, right? And look at Blockbuster and, now Netflix, right? So some people didn't keep up with the times, and so you really have to be relevant and change when your clients change.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful point that you bring up, because that's so true. And I mean, with us at the agency, so many times we meet our prospective client and we kind of really go through a questions and answer to more or less they're interviewing us, we're interviewing them, and we're trying to find out, are they open to change, or are they just going to bring us in and want us to do the same things they've been doing in the past and expect a different result?
Exactly.
And a lot of times, if that's what they want, we kind of shy away from that because we know it's only a matter of time before we get fired.
Right.
But with that, we're willing to change, and you've been involved with these businesses for a number of years. I feel, my belief is that a company or a business has to change itself. In other words, redevelop and re-engineer itself every 3 to 5 years. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
That is absolutely fair. Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing, Paul, that I think is helpful is when entrepreneurs, a lot of times they open their doors and they say, I'm ready for business, and then they just wait for customers to arrive, right? And so the most successful entrepreneurs that I've worked with have really gone after, you have to be a sales and marketer in this business, and there can be a variety of ways to do that, but you can't just hang a shingle and expect people to show up. So the aggressive entrepreneurs that return phone calls and are out there meeting and networking in the first couple of years are really more highly successful. So.
Yeah, I agree completely. In fact, I did a radio interview out of Atlanta this morning, the Women's Network on iHeart, and that was the topic we were talking about. And so many times, I mean, tell me if you've heard this line, someone's an entrepreneur or they want to start a business and they say, oh, sales isn't for me. I don't know anything about sales. It's not for me. I don't want to do sales.
Right.
And they depend on somebody else.
Yeah, because it seems like such a scary word, but really it's just having a conversation, right? It's going out and introducing yourself, and people do business with people that they like, right? And that they know. And so if you're just having coffee with somebody and they know what you do and you can talk about that in an intelligent way, typically that's all it takes. And asking for referrals. I think that's the other mistake entrepreneurs make, is that you meet with people and then you don't say, hey, do you know anybody that can use my service?
I don't know what it is, but it seems like to me, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like to me a lot of times entrepreneurs that didn't come from a sales or a marketing background, sales will scare them, but they also feel that sales is a bad word.
Right. Well, entrepreneurs are independent, right? So they're out there and they're doing their own thing, and I think they're afraid to ask for help. And people love to help people, right? And so, and I think that's what makes me a good connector, is that I see when people are afraid to ask for help that somebody over here can help them, and so try to bridge that gap. Need to find a way to make bigger money helping with people that way.
Exactly. It's so true. And one of the things talking about you being a connector, though, I mean, because you're also a social media constantly. I'm seeing Janet, but not in a bad way. Right. It's like I always click over and stalk you and say, "What's going on with Janet?"
Yeah, well, there's you have to have conversations, right? I mean, that's really what it's all about. So a lot of times I won't be out there bragging about myself. I'll see someone and it'll be relevant. So I'll either ask a question or make a comment, and then you kind of become the expert in your field. So I'll give you an example. This morning, somebody posted that he had become a critic of children's books, and so he posted it on my timeline, and I clicked on it, and he had done a review of my children's book. I have a children's book called BB, and he did a great review. So yeah, immediately I shared it, right? And so I don't, it was sort of his review, but it was a way for me to market a book to new people that might not have known that.
So it was a give situation.
Yes.
He got his name out there, his awareness of what he does, and got your book out there, so you were thankful.
Yeah.
And a combination, you shared it with your friend, your audience, he shared it with his friends, his audience.
So you mentioned a word that I tell all the entrepreneurs I work with that's helpful, is being grateful. That I thank all of my clients who refer people to me, and thank people that do things like you do, with interviews and helping me with social media. And I think being grateful is a key component of being a successful entrepreneur, because if you forget where your business comes from, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. So do you see social media as a replacement to like radio and TV and newspaper advertising?
I do, yeah. I absolutely do. In fact, yeah, it's hard.
I'm grateful you said that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I hope she says yes. So,
yeah, absolutely. Because you can spend a lot of money. I think I've seen entrepreneurs throw a lot of money at other resources, and it fails for whatever reason. There's a small percentage, and it of course takes repetition and all that, and so.
And a big budget.
Right. So it works for some kinds of companies in some industries, but not everybody needs it.
Right. And out of the entrepreneurs, I mean, are they still having the discussions in the groups and everything? Well, what do I need to do with radio? What do I need to do with TV? And
yeah, some of them come in and that's the first place that they think that they want to go. So we cover the broad spectrum and you know, we talk about it all, but social media is really where we try to steer them.
Yeah, so it makes perfect sense. So through the program, where you're running the program, has it helped you with your company, like Art and Soul? I mean, tell everybody about what Art and Soul is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started out as a mixed media artist and just doing my own thing with my own art. And a couple friends said, wow, how are you selling your art? I wasn't trained in fine art. I was trained as an expressive artist and art therapist, but I was good at marketing myself. So they wanted to know how I did it, so I started working with a couple of them, and then they started having some successes, and so I decided that I could probably charge for it. And rapidly, through my work at the Chamber, I think I grew to about 150 clients, and then had to make the decision of whether I wanted to stay with the Chamber or go full-time with my business, and for a while, I wore both hats as long as I could, and recently the Chamber had hired me full time, and so I gave up a lot of the business, and the position is grant funded, and now I'm back to part time, and so I'm rebranding. So I might come and talk to you about how I'm going to relaunch myself. So, and probably with more of a business perspective at this point. So, yeah.
So give us one tip that would be great for an entrepreneur. I mean, what is the secret of success? You're dealing with all these entrepreneurs. What do you think really can determine
I said it
success?
earlier, and I just absolutely agreed to it. It's adaptability. I think if you're ready to shift and pivot when things change in the economy or the environment or something like that, then you'll have great success. And if you're rigid in your thoughts and your ideas and can't move and flow, then you might want to rethink it and go get a job.
Makes sense. One other question then too, because
Yeah.
you brought this up. And where the entrepreneurs come into the program, what are some of the key traits that you see in entrepreneurs that prevent them from moving forward and growing?
Yeah, not having passion for what they want to do. So, and I'll give you two examples. I've had people whose parents want them to do the business. So it might be that they're in the business working and their parents are retiring and they're not passionate about it. So passionate is the key for an entrepreneur, and if they don't have passion, then they're not going to be successful. And financing is always an issue. If they're not well financed or haven't really thought about how they're going to do that as they grow, then that sometimes becomes an impediment. But we have resources for that too. We have loans at the Chamber, and right now there's a couple grants available, and there's never grants available. So, yeah.
What about the squirrel mentality?
Yeah, right. That helps as well. Yep.
Yeah, because I know so many times that I meet a business owner or a prospective business owner, and they've got like 75 ideas, 75 different directions.
Yep. Yeah, and the squirrel mentality is instead of going to get Starbucks or another cup of coffee from another retailer, that you could take that money and put it into an account, and anything that you buy, you really want to think about as an entrepreneur. Can you put that money into the business instead of somewhere else? That's my story. Now tell me yours.